This is NMH at 1, and here are the news headlines. Hydrologist warns of second flood wave to hit Namibia. Windhoek City Police chief fighting tooth and nail against a legal application to pay the City of Windhoek $6.8 million Namibian dollars. Cholera outbreak in Malawi has killed more than 1,000 people. I am Ashwin Berry.
And I am Aina Kweo, here to bring you the latest news, both local and international, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news.
In today's midday news update, employees of Nord Security at Ondangwa are disgruntled due to salaries which they say have not been paid since November 2022 until now. Willem Liebenberg, the company owner, pleaded with the employees to be patient, stating that the matter will be resolved soon.
Remember to engage with these stories on social media throughout the broadcast. The visual news coming up after the break.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Heading into the visual news, hydrologist Leonard Hango warns of a second flood wave to hit Namibia. This video is courtesy of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform.
Yes, we are right now here inside Angola. We just crossed the border at Santa Clara, and we already found the stream between Santa Clara and Namakunde that is flowing westward, that will pass Santa Clara and Oshikango on the western part, which will be forming part of the Engela stream. The volume here, it's massive, that really signifies the arrival of the second wave from Monjiva towards the Namibian border, and eventually cross the border to the rest of the parts of the Kuvelai part of Namibia. Yes, this is the stream that lines Onjiva eastward. As you can see, much of this diversion comes as a result of the dike system that they put inside the town. We are just approaching the town, and then you shall see how the dike system have helped the residents of the Onjiva town from being affected by flood water from upstream. Right away here, we are at the valley, and we got the shock of our life. There is no flood at the valley as we speak, along the main Kuvelai channel that lines or drains from Kuvelai town itself and Mupa. So as you can see on the background, the water is only concentrating on the main course of the river. So there's no any flooding on the
Florence Mbwala, a teacher at the Malundu Junior Primary School in Zambezi region, said they are grateful for the new classroom block constructed by the Japanese embassy. Mbwala is standing in front of the mud classroom they occupied before the new concrete classrooms were built. Education Minister Anangi Pondoka has commended the Japanese embassy in Namibia for aiding government in addressing the critical backlog of classrooms in the country. Let's have a look.
now how I feel so good, so happy that we have another block here opening today. And unlike the condition that we were last time, as you can see, we have a muddy house here, whereby the grade 4, we are operating the grade 4 in this muddy. For now, we are very happy that we have to shift to concrete one. We are so happy. I'm so happy with this the government of Japan who helped us in this situation. Yeah, the school was so badly overcrowded. We even had a multi-grade.
So it's just this only this time where you had all the grade 4s in.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And the pre-primary?
The pre-primary is the first one. The
Oh,
first
the
is
first
all
one.
projects.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So it's the first, like now they are 20, last year they were 22.
Okay, there you have it, tours. Honorable Minister Anna Bondoka will be taking the podium soon, and we don't want to miss that one. Thank you so much, tours, for giving.
Windhoek City Police Chief Abraham Kanime is fighting tooth and nail against a legal application that he pays the city of Windhoek 6.8 million Namibian dollars. An update on this and other stories coming up in the newspaper review segment.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
On the front page of Namibian Sun today, Windhoek City Police Chief Abraham Kanime is fighting tooth and nail against a legal application that he paid the city of Windhoek 6.8 million Namibian dollars. The money stems from salaries, 13th checks, and allowances paid to him since May 2020 when he was appointed, an appointment that has since been dubbed unlawful. Kanime resigned as City Police Chief at the end of January 2020, but the council, then under the firm grip of SWAPO, decided to retain his services as police chief for a further 3 years until May this year. In August 2021, Kanime, who is represented by lawyer Sisa Namanje, launched a High Court bid to stay on his post for another 2 years. On page 4, the paper zooms in on the devastating effects of the floods in northern Namibia. Weeks after unprecedented floods ravaged the Ohangwena region, massive swaths of farmland, homesteads and kaka shops remain underwater. Officials from the Ohangwena Regional Council's Disaster Risk Management Committee and officials from the Prime Minister's office started the process of evacuating and relocating 20 families to dry land on Monday. The Namibian Defence Force has been deployed to assist trapped families and individuals and to transport food, mattresses and blankets. Most families had no time to prepare for the floods. In the blink of an eye, they lost everything: their homes, crops, livestock.
Now moving on to our next story, according to page 1 of the Republican, in a civil case in which a family is demanding millions from British billionaire Harvey Butler, he has applied for security for cost from each claimant. This is after the family of the late Gerard van Wyk, who was allegedly shot and killed by Butler, dragged the billionaire to court for pain and suffering. Butler is also standing on trial for Van Wyk's murder, which took place on his farm on the 27th of February 2021 in a criminal case. Last year, Van Wyk's wife, 2 children and a daughter-in-law who were working as manager on the farm at the time of his murder filed a civil case against the Brit, claiming a total of around 84.5 million Namibian dollars in damages. Then Butler, at the end of last year, submitted an application that each claimant must pay between 300,000 and 350,000 as security. On page 3, the paper reports that the company that has been providing providing ground handling services at the Hosea Kutako International Airport since 2014, Menzi Aviation Namibia has claimed that the Namibian Airports Company carried out an illegal tender process and award. Menzies claimed, based on new information that has recently come to light, that the tender was allegedly illegally awarded to Paragon Investment Holdings. NAC has denied the allegations. Parties appeared before Judge Eliane Rakow in the Windhoek High Court on Tuesday. In June last year, the NAC submitted an urgent application to the High Court for a court order forcing Menzi to vacate the HKIA premises.
Now on to the Allgemeine Zeitung. The paper reports that the legal battle over the ground handling services at Hosea Kutako International Airport is not yet over. Menzies accuses airport operator NAC of corruption and demands that a new round of tendering be started. The paper zooms in on green hydrogen on its page 3 as it reports that on the second day of their visit to Namibia, EU Commissioners Upilanian and Breton focused on the planned implementation of the joint targets for raw materials and hydrogen. The round of talks was also attended by Namibian Mining Minister Aluendo. Stay with us as we continue with the newspaper review after the break.
Let's continue with the newspaper review. The Namibian reports that a mobile telecommunications company has been criticized for collecting sensitive personal information such as fingerprints and face biometrics in its SIM registration process. Cybercrime and data protection policy researcher Federico Links says the harvesting of biometric data is a violation of privacy in a legal vacuum because Namibia does not have a data privacy law. According to the paper's page 3, the Secretary General of the National Unity Democratic Movement, Paulus Kauyandenge, supports the idea of the government introducing a regional quota for national requirement programs. He said yesterday that the employment quota system would give all regions in the country a fair chance of representation in public institutions. Kauyandenge yesterday took the issue with the Namibian Correctional Service, claiming the list of those shortlisted for recruitment into the service mainly contains names from one ethnic group. We are not sure whether it's the outcome by design or pure coincidence. However, this is a serious slap in the face of the doctrine of one Namibia, one nation, he said.
Now, President Hage Geingob yesterday cautioned a visiting European Union delegation that conflict benefits no one. New Era reports he noted that the people on the planet have suffered in different ways because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Hence, the world should strive for peace. Geingob said this on Thursday during a courtesy visit at State House by EU Commissioners Thierry Breton and Jutta Urpilainen. Now, the visit was aimed at discussing bilateral, regional and multilateral issues of shared interests. People are dying, hungry and suffering. No war is good, so let us not put our relationship against the problem of the war. We are cooperating as Namibia and the EU. We are neutral in the war but positive in saying we want peace, said the president while reflecting on the conflict that started in February 2022. On to page 3, a school principal was relieved of her duties from the public service after the Ministry of Education discovered she forged a document in 2020. Elizabeth Nyiwilepo, who was serving as principal of Opumako Combined School in the Oshana region until last week, was officially discharged following disciplinary proceedings that concluded she was guilty of forging a medical certificate after staying away from work for a month and 2 weeks. Nyiwilepo allegedly pitched up for work with the medical certificate, stating that she was booked off sick between 7 July and 28 August 2020. The medical certificate was later found to be fake.
Now on to economic news. The Market Watcher highlights that gross domestic product per capita in Namibia is expected to increase according to projections by PSG. With a population of about 2.5 million, Namibia's nominal GDP in 2021 stood at 181.9 billion Namibian dollars. Therefore, GDP per capita stood at 71,907 Namibian dollars. PSG PSG estimated Namibia's population to have been between 2.6 million in 2022. PSG further estimates the local population to be stagnant at 2.6 million in 2023 and 2024 before increasing to 2.7 in 2025. Now, Namibia's nominal gross domestic product is estimated at 197.2 billion Namibian dollars in 2022.
We'll be heading into more economic news after the break.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
A total of 6.82 million kilograms of pork was imported into Namibia last year, a decline of 8.9% compared to the 7.56 million kilograms imported June 2021. According to the Meat Board of Namibia's statistics for December, Namibia remains a net importer of pork, and the sector is currently facing a shortage due to the ongoing ban of pork imports from South Africa because of an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease in that country. Pigs marketed at Meat Board approved abattoirs stood at 46,323 heads in 2022 compared to 47,723 during the same period in 2021. This translates to a decline of 2.9%. Sheep stood at 565,894 in 2022 compared to 406,005. Mutton imports stood at 318,888 kilograms for last year compared to just over 267,000 kilograms imported in 2021. These imports were made up of 59% sheep casings, 35.7% offal products, and 5.3% mutton pies. Month on month, December saw a growth of 607.1% in mutton imports.
Moving on to our next story, the Philippine economy ended 2022 with the fastest growth in over 4 decades, underpinned by a robust final quarter, but analysts and policymakers warned that a global slowdown and soaring inflation will make for a difficult year ahead. Manila's fourth quarter forecast beating annual growth of 7.2% reported by the statistic agency compared with the 6.5% pace expected in a Reuters poll and brought full year expansion to 7.6%, the fastest since 1976 and above the government target of 6.5 to 7.5%. Economic Planning Secretary Anesio Balascan attributed the stellar fourth quarter performance to strong domestic demand, rise in jobs and average spending following lifting of the pandemic curbs and full reopening in the last 3 months of the year. He said China's reopening will be a boom for the Philippine economy while protecting the purchasing power of Filipinos and ensuring food security would remain priorities of the government as the public grapples with high inflation.
Let's get into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar maintains its value next to the US dollar, is down next to the Chinese yuan, and is up next to the euro and British pound, trading at 18.67 next to the euro. Most stocks maintained their value on the NSX, but MTC made an upsurge of 0.1%. Local index closed up 0.02%, whilst overall index followed suit with a 0.41% uptick. Looking at commodities, gold, copper and zinc all closed up, whilst Brent crude oil made a slump of 0.15%.
Now, Cyclone Cheneso has hit Madagascar with more than 15,000 people affected thus far. This story and more news from the African continent after the break. Stay with NMH at 1.
Talk brings you community news in the Orongo region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongotalk@synergy.com.na. Irongo Talk, our community, your news.
Several districts of Mahajanga in the northwest of Madagascar have flooded, as well as the roads that connect them to the capital Antananarivo. Cyclone Cheneso continues to hit the island with more than 15,000 people affected to date. In addition to the floods, the National Office of Risk and Disaster Management has recorded numerous landslides, and Olga Rasonanira, director of the Bweni Region, Ministry of Population and Social Affairs, said, "We have housed people since Sunday when there were big storms. We have housed people in this site, which is a public elementary school in the neighborhood. We have set up shelters for the victims, and we have also distributed meals." The latest official death toll is 14 missing and more than 8,000 affected.
A cholera outbreak in Malawi has killed more than 1,000 people, the health ministry said on Tuesday, as the country ran out of the vaccine. The southern African nation has been battling its worst cholera outbreak on record, with more than 30,600 people infected since the first cases were reported last year. In November, it received almost 3 million doses of oral cholera vaccine from the United Nations to step up the immunization campaign, but case numbers continue to rise. "We have used all the vaccine we had," Health Ministry spokesperson Adrian Chikumbe told AFP. The fact that there is only one cholera vaccine manufacturer worldwide makes it difficult to acquire the life-saving drug, said Chikumbe. The death toll reached 1,002 on Tuesday, breaching a grim milestone and the previously recorded largest outbreak, which killed 968 people between 2001 and 2002, according to the World Health Organization. Cholera, which causes diarrhea and vomiting, is contracted from a bacterium that is generally transmitted through contaminated food or water.
Stay with us as we head into the international news. The superintendent of a school in the U.S. state of Virginia has lost his job after a 6-year-old pupil shot and wounded a teacher earlier this month. The school board decided by a vote of 5-1 to terminate George Parker's only hours after a lawyer for the teacher announced plans to sue the district. Abigail Zwener, 25, was released from hospital last week after being shot in the chest in her classroom. Her lawyer said on Wednesday the shooting was entirely preventable. Police have not announced any charges. The 6th January shooting, which authorities have described as intentional, rocked the Virginia City of Newport news and raised questions about what legal consequences may follow and for whom. On that day, over the course of a few hours, 3 different times, school administration was warned by concerned teachers and employees that the boy had a gun on him at school and was threatening people, but the administration could not be bothered, said attorney Diane Toscano. On Wednesday, the school board convened to sack the district superintendent, Mr. Parker. The assistant principal of Rich Neck Elementary School also resigned from that position on Wednesday.
We'll be right back shortly with our local sports.
Namibian boxing sensation Mateus the Beast Hater is confident of unleashing his beast mode in the featherweight division this year in 2022. Hater was stripped of his WBO Africa Super Bantamweight title after failing to make the weight on the scale in October. It was after that the boxer realized he needed to move up the weight scale and fight in a different division. The 25-year-old says he is well aware of the kinds of challenges he will face, and he trusts that his MTC Nesta Sunshine Promotions coaching team will give him the proper guidance. Hater began his professional career in 2018, and his accolades include having held the Namibian Super Bantamweight title as well as the WBA Pan Africa title. The boxer also held the WBO Africa Super Bantamweight title.
The Nedbank Namibia National Road and Time Trial and Cycling Championship take place in Windhoek this weekend, featuring elite athletes competing for national titles in the time trial and road race categories. The event takes place on Friday and Saturday, respectively. The event, organized in partnership with the Namibian Cycling Federation, is an important step towards international and regional competition as it qualifies Namibian athletes to compete at the Union Cyclist International World Championships and the African Continental Championships.
The Cancer Association of Namibia, Cricket Namibia and the MTC Dome Swakopmund extended invitation to cricket enthusiasts to participate in their Father and Son Fun Day in Swakopmund on the 8th of February 2023. The project partners invite not only a father and his son, but challenge a teacher who has an aspiring cricket team or a caring uncle or grandfather to bring the young men in their family or circle of friends to join in. It's all about bringing men together, having healthy fun and supporting the living a healthy lifestyle approach. We'll head into international news, starting off with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford scored a dazzling solo goal as Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-0 in the first leg of their League Cup semi-final on Wednesday to virtually book a place at Wembley next month. The England man, enjoying a purple patch following the World Cup, netted his 18th goal of the season in the 6th minute to silence an expectant crowd at the City ground.
Golden Arrows edge Maruno Gallants 3-2 in a trialing DStv Premiership match played at the White Princess Magogo Stadium in Durban on Wednesday evening. Abafana Bestede came from a goal down to claim the victory, inspired by a fine performance by Knox Mutwizwa, who registered 2 assists and scored what proved to be the decisive strike. The result ensured Arrows did not suffer a hot trick of the league defeats and moved up in the 9th place on the standings with the only goal difference separating them from the top half.
Now, the Vodacom Bulls have had a frank, honest review of their horror show against Lyon at the Heineken Champions Cup last week and are confident they can bounce back and get a win at Scarlets this weekend in the Vodacom United Rugby Championship. Bulls utility back David Creel believes that his side were caught asleep at the wheel in the first half at Lyon and needs to start better, but that it served as a wake-up call for the team as they resume their URC campaign. We'll be heading into the highlights shortly.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. The highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. Several districts in the northwest of Madagascar have flooded, as well as the floods that connect them to the capital, Antananarivo. Cyclone Cheneso continues to hit the island, with more than 15,000 people affected to date. The superintendent of a school in the U.S. state of Virginia has lost his job after a 6-year-old pupil shot and wounded a teacher earlier this month. And the Nedbank Namibia National Road and Time Trial and Cycling Championship takes place in Windhoek this weekend, featuring elite athletes competing for national titles in the time trial and road race categories.
Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the rest of the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. From all of us here in studio, have a lovely afternoon.